November 16, 2025, 2:14 p.m., In-N-Out Burger NHRA Finals, Pomona Drag Strip. The sky opens up in a rare Southern California monsoon, turning the championship-deciding track into a river, and NHRA President Glenn Cromwell stands in the timing tower watching 45,000 soaked fans boo as officials announce the unthinkable. The entire event is cancelled. Crowning Austin Prock, Dallas Glenn, and Richard Gadsden world champions on points without a single elimination round. That decision didn't just break hearts. It sparked the biggest fan revolt in NHRA history, with petitions hitting 50,000 signatures overnight demanding Cromwell's resignation and screaming, "Rigged for the favorites," while sponsors like In-N-Out Burger threatened to pull out, echoing the sanctioning body's darkest secret. When Mother Nature calls, NHRA folds faster than a bad bluff. This is the untold story of the 10 biggest scandals NHRA buried deep, from Nitrous cheats that exposed legends to 2025 driver impersonations that turned stars into victims. Controversies so raw the sanctioning body still prays you forget them because one whisper could shatter the sport they built on nitro and denial. Keep watching, because number 1 on this list didn't just involve cheating. It nearly tore drag racing in half for a decade. June 23, 1978, 3:11 a.m., Wayne County Dragway, Detroit suburb. 4 masked men cut the locks on the socks and Martin Ray's shop, slip inside, and spend exactly 27 minutes pouring sugar and sand into the crankcases of every single 426 Hemi race engine Ronnie Socks and Buddy Martin own, over $400,000 worth of factory-backed power. The next morning the team fires the first motor, and it grenades in 4.2 seconds. By noon every Hemi is seized solid. No fingerprints, no witnesses, no arrests. But every racer in Detroit knows exactly who ordered it. The Ford and Chevy factory teams who were sick of losing to Sox and Martin every weekend. NHRA officials quietly look the other way because, no proof, while Ronnie Sox stands in the wreckage and tells the press one sentence that still echoes today. They couldn't beat us on the track, so they beat us with a crowbar. The crime was never solved, the engines were never replaced, and Sox and Martin missed half the 1978 season, proving once and for all that in the 1970s, losing to a Mopar could get your shop burned down and NHRA would just shrug. February 14, 1991, 6:47 a.m., Tampa, Florida. 3-time and reigning Pro Stock World Champion Darrell Alderman is pulled over in his personal Dodge Daytona for a broken taillight. The officer smells something, searches the car, and finds a small bag of cocaine in the glove box. Within 48 hours NHRA suspends his competition license indefinitely, strips him of the 1991 championship points he had already earned, and issues a statement that drug use will not be tolerated. Alderman, quiet, clean-cut, the face of Chrysler's pro stock dominance, checks himself into rehab the same week, comes back clean in 1992, and wins 3 more championships, 1994 being the most emotional comeback in NHRA history. But the damage is done, sponsors flee, fans turn their backs, and for the rest of his life every interview starts with the same question. Alderman never made excuses, just said, "I screwed up, paid the price, and raced my way back." But the 1991 scandal remains the darkest day in pro stock royalty, proving even the king can fall hard when NHRA's zero-tolerance hammer drops. March 28, 2025, 11:03 a.m., Gainesville Raceway pits. After 28 years as John Force's right-hand man, crew chief, and son-in-law, Robert Hite announces he and his brother-in-law Austin Prock are leaving John Force Racing to start their own 2-car funny car team with full Cornwell Tools backing, taking the entire Prock tuning notebook, half the crew, and Austin's 2024 championship momentum with them. The split is ugly. John Force, now 76 and still recovering from his 2024 brain injury, goes on live radio crying that, "My own family walked out on me," while Austin Prock refuses to speak to the media for weeks. NHRA insiders call it the divorce that killed the empire. John Force Racing misses the countdown, loses monster energy, and finishes the 2025 season with 0 wins for the first time since 1987. Fans take sides, comment sections turn into war zones, and the once invincible 16-time championship dynasty becomes a cautionary tale overnight. Even the biggest name in drag racing can be broken when blood turns against blood. November 12, 1995, 4:32 p.m., Firebird International Raceway, Phoenix, NHRA-AHRA Nationals Finals. John Force, already under heavy tech scrutiny for struggling qualifying runs, barely making the field at 5.34 ET, lines up against bitter rival Al Hoffman in the Western Auto-sponsored funny car. The crowd of 35,000 holding its breath because Hoffman has been whispering all weekend that Force is hiding an illegal traction control device in his Castrol GTX Mustang. The tree drops. Force cuts a .418 light, smokes Hoffman by 0.12 seconds in 4.98 ET at 308 miles per hour, and climbs out stone-faced while Hoffman storms the lane yelling, "Strip him! Check everything!" to NHRA tech officials. What happens next is NHRA legend Force, fed up with the accusations, unzips his firesuit on national TV, ESPN cameras rolling live, drops it to his knees exposing jockey shorts and a t-shirt, raises his arms like a crucified thief, and yells to the crowd, "Search me! There's no wires, no buttons, nothing but Budweiser abs!" While 35,000 fans roar in laughter and shock, the announcers go silent, and Hoffman stands red-faced as tech tears the car apart for 2 hours finding 0 violations. The strip tease moment becomes the most watched funny car clip ever, but it nearly ends Force's career. Sponsors panic. NHRA fines Hoffman $5,000 for conduct unbecoming, and the rivalry turns nuclear with Hoffman finishing second in points that year. Force later said, "I'll push me to the edge, but I proved my point. I win clean or not at all." Hoffman, who died in 2008, called it a fun time in interviews, but the scandal exposed NHRA's tech paranoia and turned two legends into enemies who respected each other too much to quit. November 16, 2025, 2:14 p.m., In-N-Out Burger NHRA Finals, Pomona Drag Strip. Relentless Southern California monsoon rains turn the championship-deciding track into a lake, flooding the shutdown area and making the surface a skating rink, forcing NHRA President Glenn Cromwell to announce the unthinkable to 45,000 soaked fans. The entire event is cancelled. Crowning Austin Proc, Funny Car, Doug Kalita, Top Fuel, Dallas Glenn, Pro Stock, and Richard Gadsden, Pro Stock Motorcycle, World champions based solely on pre-event point standings without a single elimination round or qualifying pass. The decision ignites the biggest fan backlash in NHRA history. Petitions surged to 50,000 signatures overnight demanding Cromwell's resignation and accusing the sanctioning body of rigging for the favorites. Since the leaders, Proc up 101 points on Matt Hagan, Kalita already locked in, couldn't be caught even with perfect runs, while In-N-Out Burger threatens to pull sponsorship and drivers like Tony Stewart call it a joke that kills the drama we live for. Cromwell defends it as safety first, in a press release, but leaked internal memos reveal NHRA ignored track drying tech used in other sports because it wasn't budgeted, leaving fans chanting, "Run the race!" as they trudge through ankle-deep water. The cancellation seals one of the most bizarre season endings ever, with champions celebrating on podiums under tents while the empty track echoes with boos, proving once again that when Mother Nature wins, NHRA folds faster than a bad hand, and the sport pays the price in trust and ticket sales. October 3, 2004, 7:18 p.m., Route 66 Raceway, Chicago, live on ESPN2 during the CarQuest Nationals. Rusty Glidden, Bob Glidden's youngest son and crew member on the 10-time Pro Stock Champions team, is caught on a hot mic in the pits telling a friend, "Dad ran the bottle in 86 and 87, nobody ever knew." The clip spreads like wildfire. Within 24 hours NHRA launches an investigation, but Bob Glidden, already retired and untouchable, refuses comment while Rusty goes public on a radio show saying, "Yeah, we used Nitrous on the Fairmont a few times when the index was tight. It was hidden in the oil tank, never got caught, won a couple rounds we shouldn't have." The confession detonates the sport. Old rivals Warren Johnson and Lee Beard call it the worst kept secret in pro stock. Fans scream that half of Glidden's 85 wins are tainted, and NHRA quietly buries the case because there's no statute of limitations proof. Bob finally breaks silence in 2005 with one sentence. "We did what we had to do to win, just like everybody else." The scandal splits the drag racing world in half. Some call Bob a cheater, others call him the smartest man who ever lived, but every pro stock racer from that era admits privately, when you raced Glidden, you assumed he had something extra because losing to him clean felt impossible. The Nitrous ghost still follows the baby blue Fairmont to every nostalgia show. June 8, 2025, 4:52 p.m., Bristol Dragway, Super Grip NHRA Thunder Valley Nationals, 4th round of qualifying. Erica Enders, 6-time Pro Stock World Champion and the winningest woman in NHRA history, rolls her Elite Motorsports Camaro to the line, fires a solid 6.56 ET. But tech inspectors swarm the car post-run and discover prohibited bead-lock liner wheels with inner liner tires on the rear, equipment designed to reduce tire shake and provide extra sidewall support, legal in Pro Mod but explicitly banned in Pro Stock under the 2025 rulebooks. No unapproved performance mods. Clause. NHRA disqualifies the run immediately, then doubles down 3 days later with a $5,000 fine, proceeds to Safety Safari, and 100-point deduction that drops Enders from 8th to 9th in standings, calling it a willful disregard, after Elite had allegedly been warned about the wheels at Epping the week before. Team owner Richard Freeman erupts on social media. "Absolutely ridiculous. We checked with Tech in Epping, they said it was fine, and now they fine us for weight savings that don't exist?" Enders, fighting for her 7th title in a down year, stays classier but admits an oppressor. "It feels like they're targeting us when we're already struggling." Sparking fan petitions with 25,000 signatures screaming, "Tech inconsistency!" and rival Greg Anderson's crew getting a formal warning after a post-penalty shouting match at the Tower turns physical. NHRA defends it as rule enforcement for fairness. But the scandal exposes the sanctioning body's murky tech gray areas, leaving Enders, 49 national wins and counting, wondering if the scales are tipped against the underdogs in a class she once owned. May 17, 2025, 8:06 p.m., just hours after the Charlotte 4-wide Nationals, Antron Brown wakes up to 200 missed calls and a flood of DMs from terrified female fans who received explicit messages and photos from an Instagram account. @AntronBrown_official_. That was not his. Within 48 hours the same thing hits Brittany Force, Leah Pruitt, and Alexis DeJoria. Fake accounts using stolen photos, sending dick pics, asking for money, even threatening to show up at their houses. NHRA issues an emergency statement telling fans to ignore any driver not on the verified list, but the damage is brutal. Leah's wife Toni Stewart goes live on Instagram warning, "This stalker knows our home address." Brittany deletes all socials for 3 weeks, and Alexis files a police report after the fake account posts her exact hotel room number in Chicago. The scammers, believed to be an organized ring in Eastern Europe, made over $180,000 pretending to be Top Fuel and Funny Car stars before the accounts were shut down. NHRA quietly offers drivers private security for the rest of the season and forces every team to add only one official account stickers to their cars. But the scandal leaves a scar. For the first time in history, the biggest danger to NHRA drivers wasn't 330 miles per hour crashes. It was some creep with a phone in another country pretending to be them. September 21, 2025, 10:47 a.m., U.S. District Court for the Central District of California. NHRA files a $34 million breach of contract lawsuit against Coca-Cola, accusing the soft drink giant of using force majeure clauses from the 2020 pandemic as a pretext to early terminate a 6-year Mellow Yellow title sponsorship deal that was supposed to run through 2023 but was renegotiated in 2021 after the original COVID fallout. The echo of the 2020 scandal, when Coke first tried to bail early, citing low attendance and ratings during shutdowns, hits like a grenade. NHRA President Glenn Cromwell goes live on NHRA.com screaming, "Coke promised us through 2025, then ghosted after the Force injury drama tanked our numbers." While leaked emails show Coke execs calling the sport a sinking ship post-COVID. and refusing a $5.72 million annual payment. Fans flood social media with hashtag boycott Coke. Drivers like Doug Kalita call it corporate betrayal, and the lawsuit drags on for months, forcing NHRA to slash purses by 15% and lose 20% attendance as Coke countersues claiming NHRA misrepresented viewership. The 2025 twist? With Mission Foods stepping in mid-season as interim sponsor, the case exposes how fragile NHRA's business model is. One sponsor walkout away from disaster, and revives 2020 wounds when Coke first tried to ditch Mellow Yellow after 18 years, proving big money sponsors can bury a sport faster than a blown supercharger. 1972 to 1979, two sanctioning bodies declare total war. NHRA, West Coast, old money, strict rules, versus AHRA, East Coast, wild, bigger purses, anything goes tech. Tracks pick sides. Racers pick sides. Fans pick sides. AHRA throws millions at stars. Garlits gets $100,000 guaranteed just to show up. Prudhomme signs for $250,000 a year. Shirley Muldowney gets her own class. And every weekend they run 32-car funny car fields with $50,000 to win, while NHRA still pays $5,000. NHRA fights back by banning any driver who runs an AHRA national event, Force, Garlits, and 40 others get suspended in 1975. AHRA counters by booking the exact same dates and tracks, sometimes parking their trailer 50 feet from NHRA's tower. Death threats fly. Tires get slashed. One promoter in Ohio wakes up to his trailer on fire. By 1978, AHRA is winning the war, television ratings higher, crowds bigger, purses triple NHRA's. Then the money runs out. AHRA collapses in bankruptcy in 1980, owing racers $1.8 million. NHRA quietly lifts every suspension, welcomes the prodigals home, and never speaks of the war again. But every old-timer still remembers the nights when two sanctioning bodies tried to murder each other with money, fire, and nitro, and drag racing barely survived. From masked men pouring sugar into $400,000 worth of Hemi engines, to a world championship handed out under a tent because the track was a lake. From legends stripping naked on national TV to prove they weren't cheating, to sons exposing fathers who hid Nitrous for decades. From family dynasties exploding in public, to stalkers using drivers' faces to terrorize women, and a 7-year civil war that nearly split drag racing in half forever. These are the 10 darkest moments NHRA prays you forget. But we don't forget. We remember. Because the sport we love today was forged in fire, tears, betrayal, and nitro. And every time a funny car lights the headers at 330 miles per hour, it's riding on the scars of the scandals that tried to kill it. Now it's your turn, gearheads. In the comments right now, drop the number of the scandal that shocked you the most, 1 to 10. And tell us why it still burns you up in 2025. Smash that like button if drag racing is tougher than the scandals. Subscribe and ring the bell. Rego Rides never buries the truth. We dig it up and burn rubber over it. This is Rego Rides. We don't just tell the stories they want you to hear. We tell the ones they're scared you'll remember. See you at the track, legends. Checker flag fire.